If you're carrying a gun for self-defense, the last thing you want is a firearm that could fail you when it matters most. Not all concealed carry guns are created equal, and some have serious flaws that make them a bad choice for everyday carry. Whether it's reliability issues, poor ergonomics, or just plain bad design, there are guns out there that should be avoided at all costs. Today we're breaking down 5 concealed carry guns that might seem like a good idea at first glance, but could actually put you at a disadvantage when you need them most. Let's dive in. The Taurus Spectrum looks cool, shoots, not so much. At first glance, the Taurus Spectrum looks like a sleek, futuristic little pocket pistol. It's small, lightweight, and comes in a variety of colors, which might make it appealing to first-time gun buyers. But once you get past that flashy design, things start to fall apart. Literally. The biggest issue? Reliability. The Spectrum has a nasty reputation for frequent malfunctions, from failure to feed to failure to eject. When you're carrying for self-defense, a gun that jams even occasionally is unacceptable. Some users have reported needing to manually rack the slide every other round just to keep it running, which is a nightmare scenario and a life or death situation. The trigger is another major drawback. It's long, heavy, and inconsistent, making it difficult to shoot accurately under stress. A defensive firearm should have a trigger that allows for quick, controlled shots, not one that feels like you're pulling through molasses. And let's not forget the ergonomics. While the soft touch grip panels seem like a nice touch, they don't provide much actual grip, especially if your hands are sweaty or wet. A self-defense gun should be easy to handle in any condition, and unfortunately, the Spectrum falls short. The bottom line? There are plenty of small .380 pistols that are far more reliable and comfortable to shoot. The Spectrum might look cool, but when it comes to performance, it's not a gun you want to bet your life on. The Kimber Micro 9. Pretty, but problematic. Kimber is known for making beautiful guns, and the Micro 9 is no exception. It looks like a tiny 1911 and has that classic Kimber styling that makes it stand out. But as good as it looks, it's got some serious issues that make it a poor choice for concealed carry. First and foremost, the break-in period on the Micro 9 is ridiculous. Most defensive firearms should be good to go right out of the box, but Kimber recommends running at least 500 rounds through this one before it becomes reliable. That's a lot of ammo just to make sure your gun functions properly, and with today's ammo prices, that adds up fast. Even after the break-in period, reliability is hit or miss. Some people swear by their Micro 9s, while others experience frequent jams and feeding issues. A self-defense gun needs to work 100% of the time, not just when it feels like it. Another issue? The stiff slide and tiny controls. If you have weaker hands or struggle with racking slides, you're going to hate the Micro 9. The small size makes it difficult to manipulate under stress, and the stiff slide doesn't do it any favors. Kimber makes some great 1911s, but when it comes to concealed carry, there are far better options that don't require a break-in period and constant maintenance. If you want a reliable single-stack 9mm for carry, look elsewhere. The S&W Bodyguard 380, a pocket-sized headache. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380 is a tiny, ultra-concealable pistol designed for deep carry. It's lightweight, compact, and easy to hide, but those are about the only things it has going for it. For a gun that's supposed to be a reliable last line of defense, it comes with way too many compromises. The biggest issue with the Bodyguard 380 is the trigger. It's one of the longest, heaviest trigger pulls you'll find on any modern carry gun. In a high-stress situation, when every fraction of a second matters, a long, heavy trigger can be a serious problem. You don't want to be struggling to pull the trigger when your life is on the line. The slow, deliberate pull makes it difficult to get accurate shots off quickly, which is the exact opposite of what you need in a self-defense scenario. On top of that, the slide is notoriously stiff, which makes it difficult for some shooters to rack. If you have weaker hands or limited grip strength, you'll find yourself wrestling with this thing just to chamber around. The tiny, low-profile slide serrations don't help either. A self-defense gun should be easy to manipulate under any condition, and the Bodyguard 380 simply isn't. Then there's the reliability factor. While some people report good experiences with theirs, plenty of others have had constant feeding and ejection issues. The last thing you want in a life or death moment is to pull the trigger and hear a click instead of a bang. A concealed carry gun needs to be as close to 100% reliable as possible, and the Bodyguard 380 just doesn't inspire that kind of confidence. Small pistols are always going to be a little harder to shoot well, but there are plenty of other 380 options out there that don't come with these problems. If you're looking for a dependable deep carry gun, the Bodyguard 380 just isn't it. There are far better choices that will give you the reliability and ease of use you need to stay safe. The Remington R51, a disaster in a pistol. If there was ever a gun that should have been great but completely flopped, it's the Remington R51. When it was first announced, people were excited. It had a sleek design, a low-bore axis for better recoil control, and a unique delayed blowback system. But once people started shooting it, the problems became impossible to ignore. The first generation R51 was a complete train wreck. It had constant reliability issues, parts that wore out way too fast, and some guns even came apart while firing. Remington eventually recalled the entire batch and released a revised version, but even that one still had problems. The biggest issue with the R51 is that it's just not dependable. A concealed carry gun needs to be something you can trust with your life, and the R51 has proven time and time again that it can't be trusted. Malfunctions, magazine issues, and general quality control problems have plagued this gun from the beginning. Even if you find a second-generation R51 that runs okay, the reputation alone should be enough to make you think twice. When so many other guns in this category perform flawlessly, there's no reason to take a gamble on something with a history of failure. The Desert Eagle 1911U, too much gun for too little size. The Desert Eagle name is legendary, but not for concealed carry. The 1911U is a compact version of the classic 1911 design. And while it might seem like a good idea in theory, the execution leaves a lot to be desired. Sure, the 1911 design is iconic and beloved by many, but making it smaller for concealed carry purposes creates a series of compromises that are hard to overlook. First off, let's talk about recoil. This thing kicks like a mule. A full-size 1911 and a 45 ACP is smooth and manageable, and the weight of the gun helps absorb some of that recoil. But when you shrink it down into a smaller frame like the 1911U, you lose that stability, and the result is a much snappier and more difficult to control firearm. This is especially problematic when you're trying to use it for self-defense. In a high-stress situation, a gun that's hard to control can make accurate follow-up shots nearly impossible, leaving you vulnerable. Then there's the reliability. Short-barreled 1911s are notorious for being finicky, and the Desert Eagle 1911U is no exception. With its smaller frame and tighter tolerances, it's more prone to feeding issues, slide lock failures, and other malfunctions that are less common in other modern carry pistols. When your life could depend on your gun firing correctly every time, reliability is key, and the 1911U just doesn't inspire that level of trust. Finally, let's talk capacity. The 1911U only holds 6+1 rounds, which puts it at a major disadvantage compared to other carry guns in the same size category. When you're carrying a gun this large, you want more rounds in the chamber. Many modern carry pistols offer double-stack magazines with much higher capacities. If you're looking for something with more firepower and better reliability, you'd be better off with one of those options.